Hello everyone, this is Pooja Ram Rohit, Department of Biology, ASC Independent PU College. In the last video, we discussed about energy flow and food chain. During that session, we took up several examples of food chain and understood how exactly the biotic components are interdependent to each other and how other living organisms directly or indirectly are dependent on the abiotic components within an ecosystem. In this session, we will be discussing about various ecological pyramids that are drawn based on different types of ecosystems, different types of food chain seen in such ecosystems. Ecological pyramids. Ecological pyramids are the graphical representation of various trophic levels of food chain designed to show their number, biomass, and energy. There are three tiers in the pyramid: the basal tier, the mid tier, and the apical tier, also called as apex. The base tier represents producers, which is the first trophic level, and the last, that is the apex, represents top consumer, which will be the last trophic level. These pyramids were first formed by Charles Elton, hence they are also called as Eltonian pyramids. As discussed earlier in the definition of ecological pyramids, these pyramids are basically designed to show three major parameters, which includes number, biomass, and energy. So based on these parameters, we have three different types of ecological pyramids, or also called Eltonian pyramids. They are pyramids of number, pyramids of energy, and pyramids of biomass. In most of the ecosystems, the number and biomass of producers are more and those of the consumers are less. This type of ecosystem has a pyramid where the apex is pointed upwards. This type of pyramid is called upright pyramid. In some ecosystems, the number and the biomass of the producers are less and those of consumers are more. This type of ecosystem produces a pyramid where the apex is directed downwards. And such type of pyramids are called the inverted pyramids. When the ecosystem contains lesser number of producers and more number of consumers, the pyramid will be inverted in shape. Inverted pyramid occurs in a tree ecosystem. A single tree is the producer. It contains many fruit-eating birds, which are the primary consumers. The birds contain numerous parasites, which are the secondary consumers. When the biomass of producers is less and that of consumers is more, the pyramid will have inverted shape. It occurs in a pond or lake ecosystem. Here the biomass of diatoms and phytoplanktons are negligible as compared to that of crustaceans and small fishes. In the next slides, we shall understand how exactly the pyramids of number, biomass, and energy are drawn. Pyramids of number. Pyramid of numbers is a graphical representation of numerical strength of various populations in different trophic levels per unit area of an ecosystem, with producers forming the base, intermediate levels forming intermediate tiers, and apex formed by top carnivores. So these ecological pyramids, they are drawn based on the number of organisms that we see in different trophic levels. These pyramids are mostly upright. The reason is the number of producers is maximum and the number of herbivores and carnivores decrease towards apex, or say at successive trophic levels. Some of the examples for upright pyramids include grassland ecosystem and aquatic ecosystem. Let's take up an example and then understand. In aquatic ecosystem, the producers are maximum. That is, the number of the producers are more when compared to the population or the number of individuals in the higher trophic levels. Yes, if you can see in this picture, the first pyramid represents a pyramid of number seen in aquatic ecosystem. The base, which always forms the producers, the phytoplanktons in this case, are more in number when compared to zooplanktons, and zooplanktons number are more when compared to small fishes and large fishes. So as we move ahead to a higher trophic level in this food chain, we observe that the number of organisms are decreasing as we move in the successive trophic levels. Similarly, if you see in a grassland ecosystem, grasses are more in number, and the primary consumers, in this case they are insects, are comparatively less, and lizards are comparatively lesser than insects, and same thing holds good for hawks. The top carnivore, that is hawks in grassland ecosystem, the number of these organisms are comparatively less when compared to the number of producers or primary consumers. Hence, these pyramids represent upright pyramids of numbers. In the last slide, we took up examples of aquatic ecosystem and grassland ecosystem in order to understand the pyramids of number which are upright. In this slide, we will discuss about the pyramids of numbers being inverted. And a very good example for this is a tree ecosystem. This is also called parasitic ecosystem. If you observe in the picture that is depicted here, you can see trees are the producers, birds are the primary consumers, lice are the secondary consumers, and the lice eating fleas are the tertiary consumers. Now this pyramid of number is inverted because the producers are less in number. You have only one tree, and in one tree you will have numerous birds, right? So the number of birds are more when compared to the number of trees. Moving on to the higher trophic level, when compared to the birds, the number of lice are more. Moving ahead, the number of lice eating fleas are more when compared to the lice. So, based on the number of organisms present in producers, primary, secondary and tertiary consumers, in this type of food chain or in the ecosystem, we find an inverted pyramid of number. Under pyramids of number, we saw upright pyramids and inverted pyramids. Here I have a unique type of pyramid which is called spindle-shaped pyramid. In this, if you observe, here we have taken up an example of a food chain where producer is a single tree. So the number of producer is less. The birds that are basically on the tree are more in number, which basically feed on trees. So birds are the primary consumer, but their number is more, right? These birds are eaten up by fox, whose number is comparatively less when compared to the birds. Fox are eaten up by lions, whose number is comparatively lesser when compared to fox. So this gives rise to a unique type of pyramid called as spindle-shaped pyramid. The next type of ecological pyramids are the pyramids of biomass. Pyramid of biomass is a graphical representation of the amount of biomass per unit area. sequence wise in rising trophic levels, with producers at the base and the top carnivores at the apex. So in pyramids of number, we were representing the number of individuals or number of organisms that are present in each trophic level. Here we will represent the amount of biomass that we see in individual trophic levels. Again, like the pyramids of number, even pyramids of biomass, most of them are upright or erect. Examples for upright pyramids of biomass include forest ecosystem, tree ecosystem, etc. Here in this slide, we have taken up an example that we see in a terrestrial ecosystem. Grass, insects, lizards, hawks. If you observe the organisms or the individuals in each trophic level, the biomass of grass is higher than the other consumers. So the biomass of producer is more when compared to the insects, when compared to the lizards or the hawks. So this is one of the very good example to explain that pyramids of biomass are upright or erect. Pyramids of biomass in aquatic ecosystem is inverted because in it the producers are the phytoplanktons whose biomass is very less. As we move ahead to the trophic levels, the biomass of phytoplanktons are less when compared to zooplanktons, and the biomass of zooplanktons are less when compared to small fishes, and the biomass of small fishes are comparatively less when compared to the large fishes. So this is a very good example for an inverted pyramid of biomass. On this note, I would like to introduce you all with two terminologies. One is standing crop and the other one is standing quality or standing state. Standing crop can be defined as the total amount of living organic matter present in particular area in particular time in a given ecosystem. Now, it can be expressed in terms of number or weight per unit area. So, what do we mean by this? Standing crop will tell us what is the amount of organic matter we find in an organism. Yes, either we express it in terms of weight, in terms of kg or grams or anything like that, or in terms of number. Yes, in the last session I introduced you with all of you with the term called biomass. Biomass is the standing crop expressed in terms of weight. And I told you biomass of a species is expressed in terms of fresh or dry weight, and which is the most accurate way of expressing the biomass. Dry weight is what? Dry weight is the organic matter excluding the water content present in the organism. Biomass, we just say that it is the living organic matter, and in the organic matter you will find even water. But when you exclude water, what is left is only your dry weight. And that's the very accurate way of measuring biomass. So standing crop is basically expressed in terms of weight, and the unit and the term that we use is biomass. Alright. So standing crop is the total amount of living organic matter present in particular area in particular time in an ecosystem. Fine. Moving on to standing quality or standing state. Total amount of inorganic substances such as phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, hydrogen present in a particular area at a particular time in an ecosystem is known as standing state. Very simple, standing crop is the total amount of organic matter present in a given area in a given particular time. However, standing quality is the total amount of inorganic substances which is present in a particular area at a particular time. Alright, so standing crop is concerned with organic matter, standing quality or standing state is concerned with inorganic substances. So the third type of ecological pyramid is pyramid of energy. Pyramids of energy, it represents the amount of energy at different trophic levels. Energy pyramids are always upright because there is a gradual decrease in energy at successive trophic levels, as we have understood with respect to 10% law. So what does the 10% law of Lindman says? 90% part of the obtained energy of each organism is utilized in their various metabolic activities and heat, and only 10% of the energy is transferred to the next trophic level. So 90% energy is lost at each trophic level. Therefore, top consumers like lion, etc. are ecologically weakest, but physically they are strong. I told you that the energy flow is unidirectional. So always energy pyramids will be upright. Okay. So the energy transfer from one trophic level to the other trophic level decreases as we move through the successive trophic levels. Okay. Now here in this slide, I have taken up an example which explains us that the producers will have maximum amount of energy, which when consumed by the primary consumers, only 10% of that energy is made available. When these primary consumers are fed by the secondary consumer, only 10% of that of the second trophic level energy will be available here in the secondary consumer. And as we move ahead, again we see only 10% of the energy being seen in the third level consumer. So as we move ahead or move higher the trophic levels, the energy keeps on decreasing. Hence, pyramids of energy are always upright or erect. These 4 pictures are depicted in your NCERT textbook. That is why I thought it is necessary for me to take up these 4 pictures and then explain you the ecological pyramids. All the 4 I'll be explaining it in this one particular slide alone. The reason is I've already dealt with what is pyramid of number, what is pyramid of biomass, what is inverted, what is upright, and what is pyramid of energy. Coming on to the first picture, this is the picture that depicts the pyramid of number in a grassland ecosystem. As you can see, the base is occupied by the producer and the apex is the top consumer or the tertiary consumer. In case of a grassland ecosystem, the primary producer is representing the number of individuals. So when it comes to the number of individuals of producers are more as compared to the consumers. Yes, in this you can see the number of individual under primary producers are somewhere around 58,42,000. And as we move ahead over the higher trophic levels, we see there is a gradual decrease in the number of individuals. Okay, very less number of individuals you find in the tertiary consumer. So this is an example for an upright pyramid of number. Moving on to the second picture, this represents an upright pyramid of biomass. Here you can see the producer has a dry weight of around 809 kg per meter square. Recall what we have learned. We just took up a term called as standing crop, and I told you it is the total organic matter per unit area in a particular time. So per unit area is here, it is in terms of per meter square. So 809 kg per meter square is the dry weight of producer, where we see a drastic decrease, a sharp decrease in primary consumer. Where is 809 and where is 37? From 37 it is decreased to 11, and the tertiary consumer you can see it is just 1.5. So pyramid of biomass shows a sharp decrease in the biomass at higher trophic levels. So this is an example for upright pyramid of biomass. Moving to the third picture, it depicts the inverted pyramid of biomass, where the standing crop of phytoplankton is less than the standing crop of zooplankton. Here you can see the biomass is 4 but of the phytoplanktons, but the primary consumer biomass is 21. This explains us we find an inverted pyramid of biomass in case of an pond ecosystem. Further, moving ahead with the fourth picture, which depicts the pyramid of energy. According to the Lindman's 10% law, we have understood that the energy transfer through the trophic levels decreases as we move to a higher trophic levels. That is, the producers will have the maximum energy that they trap from the solar energy. When this energy is transferred to the primary consumer, it is just the 10% of the energy that is transferred. And the same thing holds good even from the primary consumer to the secondary consumer and finally into the tertiary consumer. You can see here the unit given is joules. So primary producer has 10,000 joules, of which 10% is given to the primary consumer alone. Rest 9,000 joules which is there, it is just lost in the form of heat, which is basically due to the metabolic activities of the plant or the producers. Similarly, primary consumer has just 1000 joule, which transfers only 100 joule to the secondary consumer, and moving further to the tertiary consumer, you will find just 10 joules. So always the pyramid of energy will remain upright. The pyramid of number may be upright or inverted. Pyramid of biomass may be upright or inverted, but the pyramid of energy is always upright, and you will never find an inverted pyramid of energy. Just the matter of fact that you should remember that the energy flow is unidirectional, always from producers to consumers and higher consumers, and never the other way round. So students, with this I complete ecological pyramids. Followed by ecological pyramids, we have certain topics like ecological succession, ecological services and nutrient cycle, which are again some of the major concepts that we need to understand in ecosystem. So in future classes, you can expect the video sessions with respect to these 3 topics. Thank you.